You can call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
UFC Fight Night Lerone Murphy versus Josh Emmett just ended, and I'm going to give you my reaction and breakdown to all the fights, including my rants, because this was probably the worst card of the year. Worst card that I can remember. A lot of boring fights, a lot of awful performances. Just an all-around pretty abysmal card, in all honesty. 11 fights, 2 of them were canceled. 2 of them that I was probably the most excited about, Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Martin Buday, who I'll get to in a second, got canceled. Kennedy Nzechukwu, super exciting fighter, light heavyweight, moved up to heavyweight, so was looking forward to seeing him spark Martin Buday, but fight got canceled. And then Davey Grant, fan favorite, always puts on an absolute banger of a fight. Daniel Santos can't be a professional and hurt himself or pulled out of the fight. Whatever happened, he no-showed the weigh-in, and that fight got canceled. So 8 decisions out of 11 fights. There were a few good finishes, but all in all, kind of a snooze fest. And I had to wake myself up to come down here to make this video. So to start the night out, we had an absolute banger in Talita Alankar versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Vanessa Demopoulos is awful. She should be cut from the UFC. She's 36 years old. She looks like she's never been in an MMA gym before. Was constantly taken down. She's 11-7 now in the UFC, but has yet to figure out how to defend a takedown. Laid on her back the entire fight, was inverting, like her legs were over her head. It looked like she was like trying to light her own farts for 3 rounds straight. It looked like she had never taken a jiu-jitsu class in her life, even though she has submission wins to her name. And then I heard she got into a fight with her corner because they were upset with how she performed, and she got all upset with them. It's like, man, you're lucky I wasn't in your corner after having to watch that. Like, it was pathetic. Like, Talita Alankar, she's 34, very minimal MMA experience, primarily a jiu-jitsu fighter, really only looking to grapple, and she was beating her on the feet too. It was just frustrating to watch. Moving on, Martin Buday takes on Uran Saltibadiev. Uran Saltibadiev weighed in at 222 pounds. Martin Buday weighed in at 285 pounds before he stepped into the octagon tonight, which means he cut 20 pounds of water weight to make the heavyweight limit. He outweighed him by 63 pounds and arguably lost that fight. Uran Saltibadiev, you know, crisper puncher. Buday wasn't able to get the takedowns on him. Rocked him in the 3rd round. Like, just, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that Martin Buday, who outweighed this guy by 63 pounds, has tons of more UFC experience than him, just couldn't just steamroll this dude. It just blew my mind, and it made me realize the awful things that Kennedy Nzechukwu would have done to this guy. But you look at Buday's record, hasn't really fought anybody, hasn't really ever been tested, and the fact that he gets tested by a UFC debutante, taking the fight on 4 days notice or whatever it was, and moving up in a weight class. Weighed 222 pounds, making his UFC debut at heavyweight against Martin Buday, a UFC heavyweight who's only had 1 loss, been in the UFC since 2021. Just absolutely embarrassing. Shouldn't be in the UFC. Uran Saltibadiev looked good for taking the fight on such short notice, but even him, watching him on the regional scene, I didn't think he looked that good. Going to war with a bunch of cans and not the best looking guys. So again, very frustrating beginning to the card. Victor Henry takes on Pedro Falcao. Victor Henry did what I thought he was going to do, defended the takedowns for the most part, landed the better strikes, got a unanimous decision over Pedro Falcao. This one made sense. I wasn't screaming at the TV watching this fight, so that was a good reprieve from the absolute frustration of the previous 2 fights. But Victor Henry, 37 years old, Pedro Falcao, straight grappler, but he looked good. He looked improved in this fight. But Victor Henry's just too well-rounded, able to land the better strikes, defend the takedowns, had the cardio to deal with the grappling. So good performance on him. Loma Lukbumi takes on Estela Nunez. Now this one, Loma didn't have the best IQ moves in this fight. She was landing the better strikes against Estela Nunez in round 1. and for whatever reason she looks to shoot a takedown and like slipped or like fell or whatever happened, but shouldn't have been in that position anyway. Shouldn't be shooting takedowns against Estela Nunez. Got on her butt, and got taken down in the first round. The second round, it's kind of back and forth, but the third round, Loma's just landing the better strikes. There was a lot of grappling and a lot of clinch work in this fight, more than I thought that there would be. I assumed Estela Nunez would look to get the grappling going when Loma was kind of taking over in the striking department, but I didn't expect Loma to be shooting and looking for the clinch and looking for so much grappling between these two ladies who are primarily strikers. They're primarily Muay Thai strikers. Loma is from Thailand. She has 200 amateur Muay Thai fights before she got into MMA, and Estela Nunez, primarily a striker. Neither of them really do a lot of jiu-jitsu. I think they're purple belts in jiu-jitsu, but you're not in the UFC without having your purple belt. So it's not like they're spending the majority of time grappling. So it's just kind of frustrating to see these two ladies that are very talented on the feet hug each other for 3 rounds. But Loma gets it done. Huge favorite. I think she got up to a minus 1,000 favorite at some point before that fight. So pretty easy choice in picking Loma in that one. Reese McKee taking on Daniel Frunza. Now this one was fun. This one woke me up from my slumber. Reese McKee, 0-4 in the UFC, looking to get a win. Got his first win in the UFC, taking on Daniel Frunza, who's just an absolute dog. He was landing to begin that round, but then he just kept getting caught and dropped. I don't know how many times he got dropped in that fight, but eventually recovered, and they were just going to war in that first round. And I thought maybe Daniel Frunza can recover and turn it around rounds 2 and 3, but you go into the corner, it looks like his eyes almost shut and his lip is just cut in half, like completely cut in half. And I was telling my wife, I was like, there's no way. I was like, they can't continue this fight. Like, the dude's lip is flapping in the wind. He looked like Robbie Lawler after the Rory McDonald fight. So doctor stoppage, good for Reese McKee. Seems like a cool dude, good dude, family man, family in the crowd. He's had a rough run in the UFC, taking on Khamzat Chimaev in his debut, followed up by, I would say prime Alex Morono, and then Angelusa, who's not awful, but not the greatest, and then Chidi and Jaquani, who is coming off of that great win over Zaleski dos Santos. So kind of had a murderer's row since he got into the UFC, so good to see him get this win. And get his first win in the UFC and keep his contract. So he looked good. He looked technical. He obviously had power, and he's got a lot of high-level experience at this point in Cage Warriors and the UFC. So curious to kind of see where he goes in his career. He is only 29 years old, so something to kind of look out for in the future. I was kind of writing him off, but good to see him get such a dominant win over a tough guy, Daniel Frunza. Gianni Barbosa versus Diana Belbita. This one was just, I couldn't believe they even put this one together. I don't know how this fight got sanctioned. Diana Belbita can't bust a grape. Very technical. Just can't really hurt anybody on the feet or on the ground. Gianni Barbosa just looked like she was kind of playing with her food on the feet. Just really wanted to test out her striking and see how she did. But it just seemed like, I was telling my wife, I was like, I feel like she just made the decision, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to take this girl down and submit her now. And that's what she did. Got the takedown and essentially immediately got the submission, the arm triangle choke against her. So Gianni Barbosa, very high level jiu-jitsu black belt, judo black belt, but her striking is ever improving, and she's an absolute tank at that division. Muscled up, much bigger than Diana Belbita. So this was kind of a no-brainer for me. I picked and betted on Barbosa to get the submission win there. So moving on, Torres Finney versus Robert Valentin. It's like, Torres Finney, this is why Dana White made you go in the Contender Series for 3 times. Because he was like, you are so boring. Like, you really have to prove to me that you belong in the UFC. Like, I can't sign off on your name to enter my organization without you showing a modicum of excitement or finishing ability. And that's what he did in his last outing. And then he comes in here and he just puts us all to sleep. He's literally just sniffing crotches, shooting for a takedown. I think he landed, or it was either he landed or he attempted 8 significant strikes. There was even a judge, probably just out of principle, he gave Robert Valentin all 3 rounds. Because the number one judging criteria is damage, and I guarantee, I mean, not guarantee you, I know Robert Valentin landed more damage in that fight. He was landing elbows, landing punches, defending takedowns. I think he was like 90 significant strikes to whatever I said earlier. 8 significant strikes for Torres Finney. Just an absolute joke. tank of a guy, but if you're just gonna this is mixed martial arts. You're not gonna come in here and shoot on your opponent and lay on him and hold him against the cage. Like, you're in there to finish guys and to do damage. And if you're not gonna do that, go somewhere else. Go to Bellator. Go to a different organization, because that was an absolute embarrassment what he did in there. And I'm sure he'll get cut. I mean, I don't know what the contract negotiations are or what the stipulations are there, but I wouldn't even consider that a win, because if he goes in there against somebody with even an ounce of takedown defense and cardio, they're gonna beat the brakes off of him. The second that they defend his first takedown, circle off the fence, land a few punches, he shoots again, they defend the takedown, he shoots again, they defend the takedown, he's done. He's gassing. He's dying for air after round 2. They should give him an absolute killer next. If they have to keep him, if they can't cut him right now due to the contract, they should give him an absolute monster at middleweight, a sprawl and brawl type of guy who's just going to piece him up by keeping it on the feet. Robert Valentin done dirty in this one. He should have won that fight. If we're going to go by damage, then let's go by damage. And he wins that fight. He goes from Ryan Loder, another D1 wrestler, to Torres Finney. Super exciting guy with a great personality from The Ultimate Fighter, and he's just getting ruined by these, boring guys who just want to lay and pray. Ode Osborne versus Louis Garule. Ode Osborne. This guy, I swear, he struggled with the wrestlers. Asu Almabayev, Ramazan Tamirov, Jafal Filio. These guys that can get him down and keep him down and get the submission, like, he really suffers. But if he can keep it on the feet, he's a superstar. Against Lazy Boy, Ronaldo Rodriguez in his last fight, sparked him, put him out cold, woke him up with his follow-up shots, almost got him a triangle choke, and then just kind of fumbled the fight after that one. But he even said in this one, like, he put Louis Garule, sparked him with the left hand, dropped him, kind of hesitated to see if the guy would move, because he said, hey, last time I put the guy on the ground and I followed up and kind of woke him up and kind of shot myself in the foot. He was like, so this time I just wanted to make sure if he was still going to move, then I would jump on him and TKO him. And that's what he did. Ode Osborne, very high level striker, had a huge reach advantage. He is a wrestler in his own right. He did get taken down in the first round, was able to, stay safe, get back up, and just sparked Louis Garule with that left hand and put him out, which is a really good win, because Louis Garule is, I think he's very high level. He's really tough, great cardio, great wrestling, power in the hands. And the fact that he was able just to finish him like that, coming off of 3 losses, hasn't won since 2023, almost 2 years since he won against Charles Johnson. Arguably didn't win that one, so very 50-50 career, 33 years old, so really kind of saved his job and saved it in spectacular fashion. And saved the card, honestly. Like, man, there's not the best finish of the card. Ode Osborne, give him his $50,000. Brad Tavares takes on Gerald Meerschaert III. This is a good fight. Kind of was exactly how I thought it was going to be. Brad Tavares kind of landing the better shots on the feet, defending takedowns, winning a decision. That's exactly how I saw this fight going, and that's how it happened. Brad Tavares had a lot of success in the first round, landing right hands. GM3 was just kind of eating him and smiling back at him. So GM3, super tough dude, very good on the ground. I mean, his boxing, it looks good. It's just like, it's never good enough to get him a knockout win or to open up his takedowns good enough at times to get the takedown. He's never, like with Brad Tavares, he was never threatening enough with his striking to get Brad Tavares to forget about the takedown, if that makes sense. So sucks for GM3. He's 37 years old, legend in my opinion in the sport. But somebody like Brad Tavares with just impenetrable takedown defense and heavy hands and huge legs, big for the division, like just an awful stylistic matchup for him. But kudos to him for taking it and going out there and, making it entertaining and at least going for it. But just couldn't get it done. Well, I think he lost all 3 rounds. I think one of the judges gave him one of the rounds, which maybe he won, but I didn't see him winning any of those rounds. Chang Ho Lee versus Cortavius Romeus. This was Very reminiscent of Cortavius Romeus' last fight against Gaston Bolaños, where he just constantly makes low IQ moves and gives up position, and in turn gives up the fight. I was telling my wife, I was like, Chang Ho Lee, he looked good in this fight and he got the TKO, but I was like, I don't know how good he would look if Cortavius Romeus had half a brain and didn't make those bonehead mistakes that he made. He's constantly giving up position. He's constantly jumping for arm bars or going for the back at the wrong time and falling off top and losing position. And it was just like I was laughing on the couch tonight, just like this dude, just he can't keep position and keep a dominant position and win rounds. He's constantly got to be going for something or jumping for something, and it's like he could take a page out of Pat Sabatini's book. And dude, sometimes you just got to be boring. And in Pat Sabatini's book, for 15 minutes, sometimes you just got to be boring to win the fight. And Cortavius Romeus, like, God bless the guy, he wants to be exciting. I get it, but at times, you gotta be a little bit more strategic and not make these dumb moves against another very talented fighter with grappling skills who's gonna hold you on the ground actually and beat you up if you make those mistakes. So that's what Chang Ho Lee did. Cut him up, damaged him, got him in mount. He couldn't get out and TKO'd him. It was a great performance by Chang Ho Lee, who looked a lot better than I thought he was going to look. I thought he could win positionally, get his takedowns, get some dominant position, land some good strikes on the feet. I didn't see him pinning him to the ground and beating him up like that, but he did. And Cortavius Romeus fumbles a winnable fight once again. So I'm not sure where he goes from here, but he's not going in my predictions list anytime soon. Pat Sabatini versus Joanderson Brito. I never would have thought that Pat Sabatini would dominate Joanderson Brito the way that he did. Like, Pat Sabatini, he's a specialist. He's a one-trick pony, and it's just hard to believe in the featherweight division of the UFC that type of skill set and strategy still works the way that it did tonight against Joanderson Brito, who I think is an absolute savage, who I think was future champ material, but not anymore, because he did nothing but pull guillotines when he shouldn't have. He was almost Von Flue choked several times while on the ground, couldn't get his guard back, had zero urgency to get back up to his feet, throwing elbows when he shouldn't, getting ducked under and taken down by Pat Sabatini, who is the smaller fighter, and just all around just didn't look good at all. Like, he was going at Pat Sabatini at times, like Pat Sabatini's sole mission in life wasn't to get him to the ground and lay on him for the next 5 minutes. And it's like, when you know that this guy he's not going to be throwing heat your way, he's going to be feinting and maybe throwing some rabid punches to set up takedowns, it's like you got to approach it like that. And he just continuously was overswinging or putting himself in positions to get and take down. And I don't know, just very, very frustrating performance. Good on Pat Sabatini, but he left the octagon, or he ended that fight there like he had just had a walk-off KO or something. So proud of himself, but it's like, dude, he really didn't do anything. I mean, he was landing decent punches at times, but I want to see a little bit more aggression. I want to see some more killer instincts to get the choke or to land damaging strikes. I want to see a Chang Ho Lee, like, I want to see him looking to get that dominant position and landing elbows and getting a TKO to ground and pound. It doesn't always have to be a submission. Like, you have such dominant grappling, like, do us a favor and make it a little bit entertaining. Throw some punches with some bad intentions behind them and try to get them out of there by TKO. But anyways, he got the win. Looked great in doing it, I guess. If I didn't know anything about Joanderson Brito and I saw that performance, I'd be like, get this guy out of the UFC. He has zero chance of being anything ever. But Pat Sabatini, I mean, how good's Diego Lopez, though? Sparking him and getting him out of there in less than 2 rounds. Great performance. Dominates Joanderson Brito. Gets ground and pounded out by Damon Jackson in less than 2 minutes. 'tis the sport of MMA. Lerone Murphy versus Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett, winging right hands, winging more right hands. Lerone Murphy just kind of circled and didn't really look to engage. He was landing better strikes. It just seemed like he was trying to evade the entire time. It was very reminiscent of Yusuf Zalal, Calvin Kattar round 3, which happened, I don't know, a week or so, or a few weeks ago. Just kind of a boring fight. I kept screaming. Josh Emmett was just circling around him. He wasn't really cutting him off, wasn't looking to get angles. Like Lerone Murphy was circling to his power hand the entire fight for 25 minutes straight, and Josh Emmett would just shuffle to his left and follow him instead of cutting him off and trying to land that right hand, like Dan Henderson Bisping style. Very frustrating fight to watch, and it seemed like there was a lot of There was a lot of fouls. Lerone Murphy poked him in the eye, and he landed an illegal elbow to the back of the head. And there was a clash of heads where it cut open Josh Emmett. So he's wearing all this damage. He's got a cut on his forehead, dripping down his face at the beginning, or at the entire first round. He's got a cut on the back of his head, dripping down the back of him. And all of these are by illegal or accidental blows. And I don't know, are they telling the judges that, hey, don't take that in consideration because that was an illegal blow or an accidental blow? I don't know, but it's just kind of frustrating. I kept seeing the ref, I can't remember his name, but very good ref. He was constantly warning him in between rounds about the fingers, telling him about the illegal blow to the back of the head. And I'm like, at what point do we stop warning these guys and take points as soon as they have, 1 or 2 fouls? Even if it's not the same foul over and over, but if you kick somebody in the nuts and then you poke them in the eye and then you hit them in the back of the head, we should probably take a point. I don't know, maybe we have rules for a reason, the same reason that we have judging criteria for a reason, but it's like we can't seem to be consistent in following any of these things, and it ends up making a mockery of the sport. And then I got to get on here and rant every time at the end of the cards about how the UFC is ruining their business for diehard fans like myself. So Lerone Murphy, he moves on to 16-0. Almost got booed out of the stadium by the fans. Everybody was booing him. Very boring performance again, but Josh Emmett learn to do something other than throw a heavy right hand. And you're a collegiate wrestler. You're yoked up. You've been at Team Alpha Male, which specializes in grappling and wrestling, for 20 years now, and you can't hold somebody on the ground like Lerone Murphy. Like, I'm looking at this fight back in the preparing for this, and he's getting taken down by Gabriel Santos and getting out grappled on short notice. He's getting taken down by Makwan Amirkhani. Like, he's giving up takedowns to all of these guys. Dan Ige and Josh Emmett can't get him on the ground and hold him there. It just blows my mind. But that's it. 11 fights, 2 got canceled. We had some good times, guys. It wasn't all good. A lot of it was frustrating, but some of it was good. Odie Osborne getting a knockout. Chang Ho Lee, Cortavious Romas going back and forth. So there were some entertaining fights, but a lot of it was just just frustration. In the Apex, no aura, barely any crowd. Constantly you can tell that the commentating booth is going for one person and their bias. You have to listen to Bisping and Dominic Cruz constantly bickering back and forth. It's just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But we have a good card next week. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. I think that's going to be a really good card, pretty stacked, so should be fun. But I thought this one was going to be fun, and it wasn't. It was hard to watch. It was hard to come down here and even sit here and do this video. But appreciate you guys watching. As much as I complain about these cards and the quality, I do appreciate the fact that we have UFC cards pretty much every weekend. So beggars can't be choosers. So I will shut up for now and go to bed. Thanks, guys.